Oh man, this is a hot topic, dude. You know, I can't even say it. I can't say it.
You're it honestly, this topic depends on my mood for the day. Like honestly, on how I feel, but I think we just
Dude,
get
you're
into it.
always I don't know, man. You're ready to jump in the ring at any point in time, I think.
100%. I got three brothers, dude. We were constantly boxing. So I'm ready. I was just laughing at the banter we had in our group chat. My brother's short. He's really short. Not really short, but he's 5'5". He's the oldest. And he's got like really long hair. And my other brother goes, "Hey, did you cut your hair yet?" And he goes, "No, I'm waiting for a milestone." I said, "What's the milestone? Hitting 5'6"?"
Yeah, I
Oh,
grew up with my younger sister, and I used to make her run down the hallway and jump in a beanbag, and then right before she hit the ground, I would pull it out from under her.
dude, you're 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 that kind of guy, huh? Okay,
She's gonna
okay,
love that I said that. Love you, sis. Love you.
yeah,
But yeah, listen,
exactly.
today we're talking about passing fees along to the consumer, right? Credit card fees,
Yes,
surcharges, that kind of stuff. I mean, controversial issue, right? Like,
very.
do it, don't do it, ethical, not ethical. I mean, I don't know. I think the listeners should decide on this one.
Yeah, it's a lot of laws and stuff coming out about this too. So it's a very very gray area, touchy subject we got going here.
Yeah, it's a hot topic for sure. All
Yeah.
right, well, let's get into it right now.
This show is not for everyone.
If you want safe, wrong show.
If you want the same advice you've heard 1,000 times, wrong show.
If you want your beliefs left unchallenged, definitely wrong show.
I'm Greg Provence.
I'm Spiro Duveris.
Ride or die isn't just a name.
It's a standard.
Unfuck your margins
And rule your market.
Welcome to the Ride or Die Restaurant Show.
You know, unfuck your margins, rule your market. One way to do that is pass fees along to your consumers.
Mm-hmm.
But is that right or wrong? Is it right or wrong? I mean,
I honestly, I go back and forth with this. Not that you shouldn't pass it off, of how you display it. I think that's where I have the biggest hard time that, you know, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't think the customer needs to know up in front, like what fees you're passing on to them into onto their meal, right?
well, look, I mean, the argument would be one of the big arguments would be, well, why not just raise your prices? I mean, you're basically passing fees along when you do that. Every time you raise your prices, anytime you price an item, you're passing fees along,
Yeah. What's next? An
right?
ingredient cost fee that you add on
So,
there, like a percentage
well,
fee?
but to your point, it's how do you express it, right? Because
Yeah.
look, if I buy, an apple for 25 cents and I sell it for $1, I pass 75% of the cost or that I pass that cost on to the consumer because I got to
Yeah.
make money. But if I
Hmm.
put it on my check and I say, hey, this is a 3% fee to cover credit card costs, I've also passed that to the consumer. I just did it in a different way. Right?
And I'm again, I could be a little unfamiliar with it, but aren't you? Isn't kind of we're talking about the same thing with third party delivery? When you raise your price on third party, you're just going to pay more fees. When you add the 3% credit card fee, you're processing more credit card, right?
Right. Right.
Okay,
Right.
so we are in the same boat on that aspect where it's not really a full coverage. You're covering part of the cost.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
And well, I mean, look, if you let's put this in the context of, so for our listeners to get clear on this, let's
Hmm.
say I walk into my favorite coffee shop and I buy a coffee and some pastries or whatever it is, and then I go to pay the bill, and in addition to the cost of the goods, it's now they're adding a 3% fee to cover the cost of the payment processing, let's say. Or maybe they added it as a surcharge or
Hmm.
a service fee. You see it like that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I think the pain point, certainly for me, I'm going to admit, when I see fees like that, in any industry, it doesn't feel good. It feels like, well, wait a minute. I already paid you for what you gave me, and now I got to pay for an extra on top. And I think it's partly because we didn't expect it. It wasn't in the
Yeah.
agreement up leading up to it. It's almost like this last minute backhanded sort of like, okay, great, we charged you this much for your coffee and this much for your pastries and all this stuff, but now, oh wait,
Mhm.
there's more. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now the 3%. So I think that's the part that's concerning to people because it almost feels like this. At the end of the day, we're gonna slap you with another fee that we didn't talk about,
Yeah. And
right?
and from a consumer's perspective, like, what's next? What are you gonna feed me on next? Like I
Mhm.
seen it as far as going like you're paying a percentage for in is like this place. I'm not gonna call them out for it, but it's in Chicago. Rising
On Elm Street
operation cost.
at 346.
No, they're a pretty big group. It starts with a D and ends in amic. Yeah, rising operating costs. When does it stop? Like as a consumer, when does it stop? Now, from
Yeah.
a restaurant perspective, I just before we started the episode, I looked it up. Like I think it's 14% cash. That's if you even accept cash, like you were saying, right?
Oh, so yeah, so generally 14% of overall sales are attributed to cash versus credit card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, some
that
type of
makes sense.
card,
Most
debit
people
or
pay with credit cards these days or debit
yeah,
or whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're looking at what 85, 86% cards,
Yep.
where
Easily.
it was in. I'm going to look it up. Hold on, just give me a second here. In 2010, it was 30% cash,
Oh, wow.
70%.
Wow.
So 15 years ago, it was half, or it
So
dropped.
this is a rising cost for
Mhm.
restaurant operators in general, retailers really.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. I wanna do a whole other episode on the whole cash only or the credit card only cashless situation because I got some thoughts on that, but I think cash is a lot more costly than people give it credit for. However,
Yeah, there's a lot
um,
of back end labor shit with that.
there's a lot that goes along with that,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, right, okay, so there's this thing where it's like, okay, we're faced with this dilemma as the business owner, right? So I'm an operator and I'm like, man, the cost of doing business keeps going up in so many categories.
Mhm.
But then we got to balance that with the sentiment of the consumer. Consumer comes in and they to some degree understand that, but it's almost like, wow, I just paid $7 for this coffee. I used to pay 5, and now I got to pay another 3% on top of that. You're right. When does it stop, dude? Like
Yeah.
that's the feeling we walk away with when this happens. So how do we overcome this? I mean, it's a quandary for both sides,
Wow.
you
So
know?
I'm doing some real time lookup here for everybody listening right now, right? How do customers feel about these surcharges?
Yep.
So there obviously it's a general negative perception. Surveys indicate that a large majority of consumers would actively avoid businesses that do this.
Okay.
71% of customers will avoid companies that charge these fees. So you're looking at a potential business loss. So you could have hit on every part of the experience and you lost a customer due to this fee. Right? And I guess like you have brands like Let Us Entertain You who on the bottom of the receipt say if you don't want to pay this, just tell the manager and we'll take it off.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
is
that's
it
how they
worth now we're talking about is it worth the risk of
Mm,
putting it on your receipt or however it comes however you display it and you could lose you can lose customers, right?
well, let's test that theory because I equally so I worked for a large well-known restaurant group here in San Diego and we were at the forefront of putting these surcharges on bills when this came out and mainly it was in response to the dramatic increase of labor cost.
Mhm.
Our labor cost was really skyrocketing in full service. It was a big impact.
Yeah.
And so the decision was made to put at the time it was a 4% surcharge on the bill. And we were expecting a complete and total shitstorm response.
Mhm.
We were like, oh, this is going to be a revolt. We're ready for it. We were ready with our responses, how we were going to respond to it, all this stuff. And dude, it was like crickets. Like
Well,
we had a few people that would complain. Of course, we took it right off the bill right away. And the ones
Mhm.
that complained loudly,
Yeah.
but it was not the, you know, torches and pitchforks we expected. It was almost
Yeah.
like it fine. And I wondered if part of that was because people just didn't see it. They didn't inspect their bill. So it just kind of slid under the radar, which is totally
Mhm.
possible. And especially I think in like the quick serve environment, that's certainly the case. Like people aren't really
Oh,
looking.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So it just goes undetected.
Mhm.
So there's that factor.
Yeah.
And I think we should take that into consideration. But in full service fine dining, I mean, usually people inspect their bills fairly well, but it wasn't a huge backlash. And to this day, they're still doing it. It's in
Yeah.
and there's laws around it. Like you said, you have to have it prominently posted. So when people sit down and he's being on your menus, they have to understand it's coming before the bill gets presented.
Mhm.
Or who reads that stuff, dude? You mean you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess my question really comes down to, like, what is the right thing to do by the consumer? What is the right thing to do so the business owner continues to operate as they need to, but it's just the right thing to do for people? I
Yeah.
don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just doing just back of the napkin math here for everybody. And let's just see what that I
I
guess
love
it
your back
I
of the
oh, it's my favorite type of math to do.
me.
Because
Spiro
there's
was
no
my
accountability.
accountant for a
Right.
long time, and you can see how that went.
Yeah. So, okay, so if you're doing 100K a month, and we're found the ratio we talked about of 86% of people pay with a card.
Yeah.
So roughly at 3% of that, 86,000 is 2,600 a month in processing fees, roughly. Let's just for round numbers, right?
Right. Sounds about right.
Okay. Now, if you drop that back to 2010, I think it was, whatever, where it was 30% cards.
Hmm.
Your 70,000 at 3% was 2,100. So it's a $500 increase over a 15-year period, 16-year period
Okay.
in processing fees. Now, I guess that's at 100K. So I
That's a
guess,
20%. That's a 20% increase, right?
mhm. So, again, on a volume for a high volume restaurant, you know, over,
Mm.
again, $1 million, a month or, again, it can get costly. Right. Yeah. Like you said, it's a 20% increase.
Okay, so why not just here's the question that most people bring up. Why not just raise your prices then? Put a buck on every item,
Right.
2 bucks on, you know what I mean? Like, if it's a
Mhm.
20% increase in the cost of it, does that mean we have to raise our menu prices by 15% to cover that gap? And what would that look like? On
You
a
know,
$10 item, you're talking about a buck 50. On a $100 of sales, you're talking about an extra 15 bucks in cost. Does that feel better to the consumer? I think most consumers would say, well, that feels better to me. But then you have the question of how do you remain competitive in the marketplace when you keep
yeah.
doing that?
Yeah. This is one of those, like,
It's
this
like
is
chicken or
definitely one
egg,
of those
right?
toss ups. Yeah. Like it's definitely one of those toss ups here where, like, I think I just land in the camp of raising my prices of throwing it into the price because I don't want to lose a customer over a stupid little 3% thing on the bill.
Yep.
You know? I I
Okay,
think
so
I think there's
dude,
there's easier ways to lose them than that,
that's the question. I guess now the question then becomes how many customers to lose is too many?
right?
Where's that breaking point? Because I think if you as the business owner started seeing people streaming out the door and you could see that number of people that didn't come back because of that, it probably would influence your decision. And then the question
Mhm.
becomes, okay, if we do this on the menu pricing, right? Could you avoid raising your menu pricing by creating greater operational efficiencies and better margins through your own menu design,
There you go. Right? Right?
right?
I think wow. Yeah. 100%. Right? Like that's I think that's where, again, your seasoned operator, I mean, that's gonna maybe how long do you think that takes as a task? Because does, a restaurant have the time to do that? I mean, your seasoned operator will find the time to do that, but
Hmm.
what about your mom and pop person, like your single unit operator that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this look, man, at the end of the day, this is who we're talking about, man, because, these bigger brands, these larger groups, you mentioned Let Us Entertain You, man, they're formidable. They've got
Mhm,
infrastructure. They've got a lot of stuff in place. They could probably, you know, it for them, it might make most sense to say, we're going to put a 5% surcharge on it and put something on there that says, if you don't like it, tell us, we'll take it off. No problem.
mhm.
Not a big deal for a group like that.
Yeah,
But what
yeah,
about the one-off operator that's just trying to keep the fucking wheels on the bus?
yeah,
That doesn't have the ability to have the kind of buying power that some of these bigger brands do. That's gotta pay twice as much for their avocado
yeah,
because 'cause they're not doing the volume.
yeah, and let's say they run a efficient operation, right? I can't trim anywhere else without messing up my customer or messing up the
Yeah,
quality.
prices, they're gonna go to the guy down the street.
Yeah. It's a very I think honestly, like, this is one of those topics where, I think on a lot of our episodes, we kind of come to a conclusion of, "Hey, what's the best for a restaurant?" I This is one of those topics where I think you can fall on either side and win, or you can fall on and lose. Like, I think a lot of it comes down to who your customer base is. Who is your consumer, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah. Yeah, that's a
that's
really
really
good
what it comes
point.
down to, you know? You need to
Gotta
examine
know
who your
your
consumer
audience,
is. Yeah. Like,
you
if you're
know?
doing volume of a lot of customers and you're in a less affluent area that doesn't have the demographics to support, you're gonna probably piss more people off with that 3 to 5% surcharge.
Yeah.
But
Well
in a downtown metro area, you might not.
well, here's a curveball for you.
Ooh,
So, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but
you're never wrong, honey.
you hear that, honey? You hear that? Thank you, Spiro.
You're welcome.
Um, glad we're recording this. Yeah, it's never gonna work. Um, so here's the thing though. I believe it is illegal federally to charge a surcharge on a debit transaction because
Yeah.
that's more of a cash type transaction.
There's a lower fee, I think, for debit cards. I think,
Yes.
right?
I mean, my understanding is it's illegal on debit cards because even without a PIN, even if you charge it as a credit, because they see it as a cash situation, right?
Okay,
And
yes. In the United States, adding a surcharge to a debit card transaction is illegal under both
yep, there
federal
you
and
go.
network rules. Yeah.
Say you Google. Thank you very much. And
What we're here for.
so how do you regulate that? Because I mean, I don't know.
I feel like
There's POS companies out there and credit card companies out there that offer this like cash discount program
Mhm.
where they bake that into their process. I would
Yeah,
assume they can detect whether it's a debit or credit sale, right? So if it's a credit sale, it'll charge the surcharge in the debit sale.
yeah, yeah.
But
Like,
nonetheless,
is this a debit card or a credit card?
but even if as you run it as a credit, sometimes you can
Yeah,
do that with your debit,
yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
and then there's rules with Visa and that type of stuff with capping percentages and things like that, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
bro, surcharging bans in a lot of states. Like I think,
yeah.
you know, Connecticut, Massachusetts, some of those places, they've actually banned it altogether.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'm surprised they haven't done that in California, to be honest with you. But you
yeah.
know,
I again, it's like there's so much gray area with this topic that, like, in my opinion, it's like it's not even. Is it worth all the headaches of even one doing it, but two, again, just comes back to the easiest way to do it is just to roll it back into your menu price. Like,
mm,
3% on a $10 item isn't going to make much of a difference.
Hey, it's Greg Provence. If this conversation is hitting home and you want to go deeper than this podcast, the Ride or Die Leadership Circle is where operators like you are doing this work in real time. We have weekly coaching, peer accountability, tools you can use the very next shift. Links are in the show notes. Come check it out. Now back to the episode.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the volume you're doing, man. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the money you can save, I mean, it sure does look nice on a P&L to have a zero credit card fee when you're talking
Well,
about.
what I'm saying is, like, on a $10 item, it's an extra 30 cents. That's not gonna deter a customer, 30 cents?
No, that's not nobody's gonna care
No.
about that.
So, like, that's where I'm at, like, add it, now your burger, instead of it being $10, it's $10.30.
See, I wouldn't give a shit about that. I'd be happy to pay that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying
I
is
wouldn't care.
you can mix it in with cost of doing business. Hey, tomatoes are high, gotta raise the price. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole psychology to all this where because now that cash is gone, right? You used to have the people who'd come in and go, "Oh, it's burger, fry, and a drink is $12.50," and they knew it. They had the $12.50 ready, and then when you raise the price, now it's $12.87. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You raise the prices. Well, that doesn't happen anymore with credit cards and cards. It's like, oh, hey, I think last yeah, it's on right about right,
But Spiro,
$11,
credit
12
cards aren't
bucks.
real money anyway, man. I mean, that's
Oh yeah.
it's not
Let's
real
not put our
money.
tinfoil hats on now.
I mean, I can go out and buy a bunch of shit right now. It's not
Yeah.
real.
No,
It's
you don't
not
have to
real.
pay it anyways. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what's that 30 cents going to cost you? Even at $20 item, it's 60 cents, right? Like,
Yeah.
roll it into your price, I think, is just the easiest. You move away from any illegal activities, or because again, it's not only state, municipalities, it's like, geez, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much drama with all these, what you can and can't do.
So what
I
you're
think just
saying
avoid it.
is it's not worth the risk. Why wouldn't you just, because like you said, so most menu pricing, we're not talking about like maybe like the high end, sort of steakhouses and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And even in that situation, if you're paying, let's say $40 for a steak, which is probably cheap these days, depending on the
Mhm.
cut, you paying that $40 and then, that 3%,
It's only a
right?
buck 50.
That 3% turns your steak into $41.50. You're not going to, it's not going to feel. So
Right.
what you're saying is that 3% really, when you're talking about a menu price increase, if you have the choice between increasing
Right.
prices or putting this on why would you take the chance to piss
Yeah.
somebody off, knowing this is a highly charged emotional issue,
Right.
when you could bury that cost in the cost, which is what most consumers would probably tell you they'd prefer. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, whenever we got a complaint on surcharges, usually the first comment was, "Why don't you just raise your prices?"
Yeah. Well,
They
and
would
here,
they're saying, "I would prefer you just do that and not tell me, and I'm better with that than."
well, we talk about this a lot on this podcast that restaurants are not understanding consumer behaviors. Like, we're telling them the
Uh,
data. Like, when we talked about third party, consumer behaviors show that this is why they order from third party. This is why it's growing. All these things, like, you didn't want to
yeah,
recognize that. And now here's more consumer behaviors of people or consumers will avoid places that have these fees, these surcharges.
yeah. I mean, that's what the
So
data says, right?
the data
It says
doesn't lie.
it pisses people off. I mean, I even admit it pisses me off.
Yeah. I
In
I
some
get pissed. I tell
situations,
them
I'm
take it off the
okay with
bill.
it, but mostly I'm not.
Because it's like, dude, this cost has been there since Moses wore short pants. Like it's been there forever, man. Like, these processing fees.
Dude, do you just throw out a biblical reference?
I did actually I got it from Sopranos.
Dude,
We've been
that's
friends since
awesome.
Moses wore short pants.
I
So
love how you worked that in, bro. That was pretty and that was artful.
no, thank you very much.
Nice
Thank you.
job,
Been
dude. Hey,
practicing in the mirror. But yeah, I mean, like, this processing fees are nothing new. Insurance costs are nothing new. All these operating costs have been there since the beginning of restaurant time. Like, okay, they've gotten higher. Okay, like, I
yeah,
understand that. But anytime that there was when tomatoes went up or steak went up or beef went up, you didn't add a surcharge. You just
yeah.
raised your price,
Yeah, no,
right?
you're absolutely right. And how much of this too is an emotional response to like stick it to the man? I almost feel like a lot of this is more of like a statement than it is an actual. business need in a way. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, because that was the case in this group I was talking about before. It was in response to the labor pricing, labor costs going up. It's almost like okay, if fine, you're going to do this to us, fine, we're gonna make a statement about this. And it was kind of laid out like, hey, this is to cover rising costs of our team
Yeah.
members.
Well, here, my favorite is, and I heard somebody talk about this on a podcast, and it makes so much sense. Is the every POS now when you go get coffee or any fast food place too, they turn the register on when you sign. Oh, add a tip. What the tip is, only a part of that is going to the actual person behind the counter because there's a credit card processing fee. So who's processing
Yeah.
more? Who's making out like a bandit on that tip? It's the credit card company.
Yeah, no, that's another dude. Well, first of all, I want to segment that out because we've got a whole other episode on the tipping conversation. Bro, I'm making a note of that right now because that's going to happen.
Please, yes.
That's a
Yeah,
can of worms,
there's some real nasty stuff about that.
man. You just opened a can of
I'm
worms.
constantly opening up can of worms on these episodes that we have
I
to
know,
close and
dude. I
fix.
know. Love about you. That's why I love having you here because we wanna get to the juice. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm glad we're having this debate
Mhm.
because, and like you said, maybe there's no right or wrong answer here. Maybe it
Yeah.
depends on the consumer, your market, your operation, all of those things. There's cases to be made on both sides. But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, I don't know. I'm always a proponent of let's protect the guest experience as much as possible. Let's make sure things are simple and streamlined, less friction is
Yeah.
in generally speaking is a better opportunity and a better way to go. And so, personally for me, I think I'd probably stick to the let's raise the prices
Mhm.
scenario. Um, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is a business choice on that you're just gonna have to live with one way or another, and you're just gonna have to understand what that how that translates. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen it in so many different scenarios, and it seems to work for some people, you know?
Well, you're obviously what you do is you're very much boots on the ground with a lot of these brands, especially the ones that we share. Like, are they? I mean, the guest experience, let's call it the customer journey from the time they walk in to the time they pay their bill. It
Mhm.
hasn't gotten any easier, has it?
No, no, no. I mean, I call it points of friction, right? And
Mhm.
and, the less friction that you can provide to the guest, the better.
Right.
And even in
Right.
your own operation. So, you could see this as a possible potential point of friction because now if you get an
Mhm.
objection when the bill comes, that's friction. And it's not just any friction. It's like we said, it's kind of highly charged
Yeah.
friction. Like this is an emotional issue for people. This isn't one of those things where it's like, oh well, you kind of take it. No, this is when people care about it, they care strongly about it. So I think you need to take that into consideration too. Like,
Ooh, I got a controversial thing that's about to come out of my mouth.
spill
Is
it.
this surcharge very similar to the emotional charge a restaurant would feel about Uber Eats and DoorDash fees? Hmm.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's interesting. And what's the restaurant's take? Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Sorry, can't hear you guys.
30%?
Three
What?
what? Why are you passing that on to why do we do oh, but you see, and this goes back to what I've been saying about restaurants and this entitlement of like, dude, there's sometimes it's the cost of doing business, right?
Dude, you just flipped that on the
It
head. That
can't be both
conversation
ways
goes
with these
both ways.
restaurants, right?
Yeah, that goes
Wow.
both ways.
There's my
Ugh.
right hook for the day.
Alright, well, that I love we're gonna wrap it up right here, man, because that was the mic drop right there. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so here then let's end it right here. Greg's Sandwich Shop or Greg's Steakhouse, Greg's Chop House. Are
yep.
you charging the 3%? Are you is it worth the risk in your opinion to add that point of friction, especially at the end of the meal? So like everything went perfect and now you just added a point of friction where you can lose a customer potentially, right? If the consumer behavior is accurate.
The simple answer, no, not for me. It's not worth the risk.
Right.
I
So
see.
why? And I know we're trying to wrap this up, but now it's like I've got all these. Why would a restaurant put it out there? Like,
I
why?
mean,
What's it, right?
I think my belief, my personal belief is there's several reasons. One, it's a stick it to the man situation. They want to make a
Uh-huh.
statement, and they want to be transparent and clear about the fact that, hey, I'm in pain because my costs are through the roof and I'm trying to survive. And we have to do this to do that. That's
Mhm.
my feeling. Like, I feel like that's one of the reasons people do that.
Yeah.
Maybe and we say, hey, look, we're just being honest. We're letting the guests know, like, hey, this is my real situation. And it comes from a painful place. They wouldn't do it otherwise. Right.
Mhm.
And then the other reason would be just to say, hey, man, I need to, if I can eliminate a fee on my P&L, I'm going to do it. And this is how I'm going to see that happen, because they're just judicious about that, But at the end of the day, what are we creating out of that? Is it worth it? That's the question. Is it worth it? And some people will say yes, absolutely. And some people will say no. But I feel like anybody that's sitting in the position of the person paying, not many people would agree that that feels good.
No, no, no. I don't think it.
So,
I'm with you 100%. So now, if we're both in the same camp of just roll it into the price, are
see, we just picked a
we?
side.
I guess we did. I guess we did. I mean, when you lay it out, it makes sense. Like, why? I think what you call it, a point of friction. Avoid it. You already have enough variables that can go wrong in that customer journey from point A to point B. Like,
Mm,
why add it, right? Why? It's like you're just trying to make a problem.
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put it out there. We putting ourselves in the line of fire here. I'd like to
Bring it.
hear from guests. Comment, send a note, let us know what your thoughts are. How strongly do you feel about this topic? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I really want to know. I want to know where people stand on
Yeah.
this. I think we
Yeah.
know just based on the data and the research we've done, and our experience, but is there a case to be made that we haven't seen? And what is that? Let us
Well,
know.
I think it also will be easier for a mom and pop or a single unit operator to feel better about passing that fee off to the consumer by hiding it in their menu price.
Mm,
It'd get them a little bit easier to okay, hey, I can disguise it, not in like a hidden way, but more of just like, hey, it's a part of doing business, right? I got to put into my cost. Here's add that to
dude,
the
if you
food
want to be
service.
a purist about it, you can say every single cost is hidden in the menu cost. It's like, I got to charge this to make money.
Yeah. Why don't we just start charging
Every single cost is
25%?
hidden in the menu cost already. So,
Yeah, start charging 25% because it's for the labor cost. Like, let's just do that too while we're at it, right?
yeah, you can have your taco for $1, but we're going to charge you $2 for labor.
And then I'm going to charge you for rent and electricity. Did you flush when you went to the bathroom? Because that's an extra charge. What's coming next, honestly?
Oh, shoot, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you look at it like that, it starts to become a little silly, doesn't it?
Eh,
Why this charge? Why not all of them?
Yeah, yeah. Start charging. All right, I'm gonna get myself in trouble if I keep going.
Good way
Yeah,
to end this thing, man.
yeah, I agree.
All
All
right.
right, so roll
Let
it
us
into your price.
know.
Don't be afraid.
Let us know what you're thinking. We want to know. Ride or
Yeah.
dies. Till next time.
Peace.